want to talk about a number that came out recently because I know it's significant to the people I serve. AARP just released a report called Valuing the Invaluable, and the number at the center of it is this. Family caregivers in the United States provided $1 trillion worth of unpaid care in 2024. 1 trillion. Honestly, when I first saw that, I was like, whoa. I thought it sounded like an astronomically large number, too big to really wrap my brain around, and I almost just kept scrolling. But then I came back to it because I think for a lot of people watching this, that number may be abstract, but the reality of what it represents is actually your whole life right now. So what does that number really mean? $1 trillion is more than everything the federal government, every state government, and every local government spent on Medicaid, combined in 2024. Medicaid came in at $932 billion. Family caregivers did more than that, without a paycheck, without training in most cases, without much acknowledgement at all. And here in New Hampshire specifically, the report estimates that caregivers provided about $4.4 billion worth of care, around 200 million hours in just 2024. That's happening right now too, in homes across the state, mostly invisibly. So who are we actually talking about? 59 million Americans, roughly 1 in every 5 adults. And it's almost never who people picture when they hear the word caregiver. It's not usually someone who has moved a parent in and made it their full-time life. It's the person managing medications from 2 states away. It's the one who takes the calls from the doctor's office, handles insurance paperwork, and figures out transportation to appointments, on top of everything else they're already doing in their own life. The report found that caregivers are spending an average of 27 hours a week on care. That's not occasional care. That's a part-time job that nobody posted, nobody interviewed for, and nobody is compensating them for. And more than half are performing actual medical and nursing tasks, wound care, injections, managing complex medication schedules, things that in any other setting would require a licensed professional. There's something that the $1 trillion number can't fully capture, and I think it's important to say out loud. That figure measures what it would cost to hire professionals to do what family caregivers do, but it doesn't measure what caregiving costs the caregiver. Other research fills that gap a little bit. Family caregivers are more likely to leave the workforce or reduce their hours, more likely to delay their own medical care, more likely to experience burnout and financial strain over time. Women, who make up the majority of family caregivers, often see long-term effects on their retirement savings and their own health outcomes years down the road. So the $1 trillion that family caregivers are saving the economy isn't truly free. It's just being paid in a currency that doesn't show up in any budget. It's being paid by the people who love someone who needs to be cared for. New Hampshire has a particular version of this story. We're one of the oldest states in the country by median age. Our senior population is growing faster than most, and we simply don't have the density of services that larger or more urban states have. Rural areas here can be genuinely isolated. Transportation is a real barrier. Waiting lists for home care and memory care can be long. What that means practically is that the families here are carrying more than families in states with more infrastructure. And a lot of them are feeling that extra burden, quietly. Because to say, I'm struggling, can feel like you're saying, I'm not doing enough for the person I love. Those two things are not the same, but they can feel that way when you're in the middle of it. What I hear over and over is that nobody plans for this. Nobody sits down one day and decides to become a caregiver for their spouse or their parent or a sibling. It just starts happening. A few extra calls here, a few extra trips there, and then at some point you look up and realize this has become a significant portion of your life and you don't fully know how long it will last or what comes next. That's not a failure of planning, that's just how this usually goes. If you're in that season right now, I want to point you toward a few things that exist, specifically in New Hampshire. NHSHIP, which is the State Health Insurance Assistance Program, offers free one-on-one counseling on Medicare, supplemental coverage, and benefits eligibility. No cost, no sales pitch, just someone who knows the landscape and will sit down with you. If legal questions are a part of the picture, like powers of attorney or housing rights or elder financial protection, NH Legal Assistance has a senior law project specifically for older residents and the families supporting them. There's also an organization in Concord called GoodLife Programs and Activities. And I want to mention them because they're not what most people picture a senior center to be. It's built around the idea that older adults are full participants in the community, not people waiting for services, but people still living actively and wanting connection. Knowing what's available before you need it is a very different experience than finding out about it under pressure. The reason I wanted to cover this report is that numbers like this tend to surface for a few days and then disappear. People feel something, share it maybe, and then move on. But if you're a family caregiver, this isn't just a statistic, it's your whole life. If this resonated with you, share it with someone who's in this same season. And if you found this to be easy to watch and listen to, you'll find more on my channel where this came from. See you there. There's an organized... I should have said $1 billion. Gosh.